The Branding Your Business podcast is for small business owners looking to build a customer favorite brand and a value-driven business. From solo shows covering marketing tactics to experts sharing their brand stories, each episode delivers actionable insights for entrepreneurs who want to impact the world. We're sharing how strategic moves and authentic connections can build a profitable business minus the burnout. Tune into the Branding Your Business podcast with me, Praise Santos McKenna of Come Plum, to design a brand your audience adores while building a life you love. Okay, so it is the Tuesday after the 2024 Super Bowl, and this is the first time I was very engaged in this year's Super Bowl, which I mean, it really was the Usher concert, but I'm from San Francisco, go 49ers. I don't know why I keep trying to make sports analogies on this podcast. It's really not my zone of genius, but what was so fun is that my husband had a bet to see how many times the NFL would pan to Taylor Swift. This is like Taylor Swift season. We have tickets to see her later this year in October. I also saw her before the pandemic, and she is a powerhouse. I'm loving how she's leading her business and her brand. And so today on the Branding Your Business podcast, we're going to talk about tips that small businesses can learn about their brand through their girl, Taylor Swift. Okay, so I am deep on Instagram discovery, and a big thing that Taylor does that's so impressive is that she is the same offline and online. She has so many selfies with people, especially as she's been showing up more to these football games. And there was a photo of someone who worked one of the arenas, and Taylor just went up and talked to her and said, "Hey, like, do you want to take a selfie?" And she offered that, also left her a really generous tip. And this woman is so happy. If I can get the graphic, I'm going to put that up here. She also has pictures with these young girls, just hanging out with them. And it's just something so sweet. And I feel like her online persona, where we see some of these behind the scenes stuff of her, their friends, and as people are meeting her online, she seems the same in person and online. So for those who are also creating brands, I encourage you to do the same. A lot of us have these really lovable brands that we love to interact with, and they're the same consistently, right? And so the Disney that we see on screen when we go to Disney World, we want that same feeling on screen as we do in person. I even say the same with my small business. You might watch this podcast. I really do hope you get to meet me in person, but I hope my values of seeing you inspired, resourced, and confident shine through. So the same online and offline. Can learn that from Taylor. Another thing that Taylor does really well is she shares her lived experience. If you all will listen to the episode that we have with Tanya Bhattacharya, where she talks about LinkedIn, she talks about her coaching a lot of thought leaders to simply share what they've lived through, to create content for the people who were the younger versions of themselves, the people who she wished she knew in the past. Taylor does a really good job about sharing her life experience. So we know our girl Taylor is born in 1989. She is 4 months older than I am. And so as she wrote these songs, they were the soundtrack of my life. I remember being 22 and singing to her song 22. I remember her writing songs about different relationships, different friendships, and could just relate to all that she says. So if you're also building a brand, especially those who have more of a personal brand, how can you share in the human experience? How can you share what is going on culturally, in the news, etc., from your own lived experience? Putting a little touch of humanity into your marketing will go a long way. So that's a second big thing we can learn from Taylor. Here's another one. Building hype. Oh my goodness. She is the queen at building hype. So a few weeks ago, it was the Grammys, right? And everyone was watching because we're like, oh my gosh, she's going to release Taylor's version of Reputation. We knew it. Like, this is the next one. It's what's happening. Maybe she'll drop it today after she wins her awards, etc. And we were all so excited, trying to read into everything from her outfit to what she's posting online to what her website is like. And that's kind of fun. When was the last time we had fun like this before? Could you create that hype for your audience. Also, newsflash, she did not drop Taylor's version Reputation. She announced her new album, which is coming out in April, which is even more fun. How could you build hype with your audience and just surprise them and delight them? Is it you launching a new offering and saying, hey, y'all, I am so excited about launching this new course. It comes out this summer. Let's do a countdown with me, kind of like a countdown to end of school thing. Build hype, create hype, get your people excited, know what excites them, and drop little hints and Easter eggs along the way. All right, a fourth thing that we can learn from Taylor, our brand queen, is to recycle content. So we know her Eras tour is really kind of going through her body of work. A girl got a lot of albums. But the thing is, we already know what those songs are and we still want to hear them and experience them and see clips of them, etc. So you all, you're great marketers. You've also listened to our other podcasts where we talked about leaning into your pillars, etc. And you are speaking about the same things. Maybe you said praise. Okay, so I already wrote about imposter syndrome. You want me to recycle that? Yes, I do. Because maybe you just wrote a blog post about it. But do you have a podcast script about it? Could you host an event that centers around that? What are ways that you can say the same thing, maybe with a fresh update to it? Maybe there are ways it's more relevant this time around. How can you recycle that content? Can you put it on your email list, etc.? Okay, and number 5, I will lecture you over and over again that branding is how people think, feel, and say about you. That feeling part, that emotional connection, Taylor is incredible at that. I feel like she really wants to give her fans that feeling of access to her. So whether she is speaking straight to camera without fancy lights, without just like on her phone, there's not a big production crew, it makes you feel like you're just sitting with her right there on the couch, right? That's the feeling of access. Or we all know that her tickets have been crazy, but if you're able to make the lottery, etc., the tickets are still at an accessible price. That is one of the key feelings. She is really there for her fans, very clearly creating that emotional connection. How can you create an emotional connection with your audience? Is it through vulnerability? Is it through inspiration? Is it through empowerment? Key in on those key feelings of how you want your audience to feel and make sure that is felt through the different avenues that you work with. Okay, this has been so fun. Okay, let's keep going. So, we talked about her consistency online and offline, speaking from lived experience, recycling content, and also building hype. We talked about creating emotional connections. And lastly, this is one of my favorite brand lessons from our girl, Taylor. It's uplifting the partners that you have in your brand. And so, y'all, we all watched the Super Bowl. We saw that she was hanging with Blake Lively and Ice Spice, right? And so these are friends of hers that she's also brought into her work. So Blake Lively has also directed one of Taylor's music videos. Ice Spice also helped remix one of Taylor's songs, Karma, and they re-released that single, etc. We already know that those women, those artists are also with a platform in their own right. But did you know that Taylor also, when she photographed the cover for her Evermore album, or even with some of these last photos dropping for her upcoming album, didn't use a celebrity photographer. She used someone who is very talented, but a little more low key. And she gave that photographer a boost by sharing her platform. She uplifted them. Or if you saw the acceptance speech of Jack Antonoff during the Grammys, he said that in his past, he had heard it time and time again, right? He would work with different artists on songs. And then once they got it, they would send it off to a bigger name producer to like mix it and finalize it. But not with Taylor. Once they finished songwriting and putting it together, she was like, no, Jack, I want you to mix it. And I quote, he said, Taylor kicked open the effing door for him. How can you use your platform to uplift partners who have your same vision and values and mission? Your platform could be a place for others to shine and be uplifted on. And so those are my 6 tips of what we can glean from our girl Taylor for what our small business brands can do to create a lovable brand. I hope this has been helpful. This has been so fun for me. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, or maybe you can even apply more of the Swifty vibes. Like you can see more of how she's run her business, and you can extrapolate more about how small businesses can use those same things in their brand. Put it in the comments. I really want to hear and I want to know. Okay, this has been really fun. Thanks for sticking with me.